dust and my soul needs some healing. Will you show me the way? 'Cause I'm down in the hole, can you hear me? Will you bless me with grace?
Look, I'm from the side where we cursed in and outside. Been with and without pride, my soul downsized. I'm 16, already dead, no outline, just waiting on my murder like a bus from the south side. Parents tried to shelter me with church, got baptized with stones in my denim. Praise blood covers that size. It's guilt dripping from me like a soul glow ad. Lord, please take it from me, for this ship I'm on capsize. In the sight of all these crackers as my fam cries, cause they finna call us criminals and scum. We just trying not to suffer. How the fuck is we the bad guys when they put us on their ships, made us slaves, send our people down in shame to their graves? In a world full of predators and prey, I'm just trying cause I heard Jesus saves. Just a humble nigga begging for your grace. Ash.
I am dust and my soul needs some healing. Will you show me the way? 'Cause I'm down in the hole, can you hear me? Will you bless me with grace?
Like this. Your light is on me and it shows no tan line. I see difference. I've been really counting change. I'd be rich if I resort to spending half of what I gained, and that's dignity, knowledge of self, introspective, real value, actual wealth, no inflation, investments risk-free with this currency trade. Don't need a candle. Truth will be the smoke when I pray. He made the meager me the mighty. 4X, if depth scripts the song, he saved my soul from the chorus. Now I gotta learn to see the trees just for the forest. Cause now I see the strength to all these outside forces. Ain't no force that's against us. It's finna prosper and it's gorgeous. Ain't no gorge I can't leap. Ain't no fort I can't beat down. Was me against the world, but I'm surrounded by your fleet now. The heart of
Shalom, shalom. How's everybody doing? How is everybody doing? We're going to let everybody come in. We're going to get started today. We're going to be starting off in 2 Peter chapter 2. 2 Peter chapter 2. Make sure you get your swords turned there so we could get started. Tazapaya, shalom. How you doing, family? We ain't gonna wait too long. All praise to the Most High. I appreciate you and commend you for always being the first to class. That said, for your sake, brother, we're going to go ahead and get started. We can't help that other brothers just dragging their feet. So this is 2 Peter chapter 2. But there were false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you, who privily shall bring in damnable heresies, even denying the Lord that brought them, and bring upon themselves swift destruction. And many shall follow their pernicious ways, by reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of. So, this goes hand in hand with something that I told the captain, Azariah. This goes hand in hand with something that I told him going on a few months ago, that we were going to see this start to come to a head in the community. And lo and behold, we're at a major crossroads, and it's going to explode in a little bit here. It looks like it's already exploded, but really what's happening is you just see the pressure building to where this little packaging that the Israelite community has been sitting inside of, causing friction inside of for so long, is now starting to bubble up. The explosion is about to happen, and there will be no longer the packaging, right? We've been able to feel it. The community has been divided, because what happens is, like, when you have a chemical reaction, let's think about those science fair volcanoes, right? That chemical reaction is taking place inside of the volcano, and those chemicals are expanding, right? That composition is expanding inside the volcano long before you see it spill over. So all of the disarray, all the chaos and dysfunction is taking place beneath the surface. The time is coming now where we're going to see it breach that volcano. We're going to see it actually explode. That's what I mean. Those are on the inside. It may seem like it's exploded already, because on the inside, those chemicals have already been doing what they do, but it's getting ready to take place to where it's going to burst out of that casing, right? It says, many shall follow their pernicious ways, by reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of. And a lot of what we stand on in the community, unfortunately, and I do say community, and for those of you who have been listening to Fire of God for some time, there was a while ago that I said I'm leaving the community. I'm leaving the quote unquote community, because what I want is family, right? That community. The one thing that's binded us is our hatred for the people who have hurt us. But the love of God has not been the bond. You see what I'm saying? It's been the enemy of my enemy is my friend, rather than loving your neighbor as yourself, right? And those who have pushed the community forward have done it you really using the gasoline of the hatred of the enemy rather than the love of the Most High, right? So the truth is going to become evil spoken of, because there's been a form of idolatry where the ambition to get vengeance on the enemies has become the focal point, right? And then the love has been, it's been placed on the back burner. You see what I mean? We have not learned to judge according to the weightier matters. Grace, mercy, love, cohesion, real cohesion. By reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of, and through covetousness shall they with feigned words make merchandise of you, whose judgment now of a long time lingereth not, and their damnation slumbereth not. And so it's being revealed who's who. It's being revealed who's who. For if God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell, and delivered them into chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment, and spared not the old world, but saved Noah, the eighth person, a preacher of righteousness, bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly, and turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned them with an overthrow, making them an ensample unto those that after should live ungodly, and delivered just Lot, vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked. For that righteous man dwelling among them, and seeing and hearing vexed his righteous soul from day to day with their unlawful deeds. The Lord knoweth how to deliver the godly out of temptation, and to reserve the unjust unto the day of judgment to be punished, but chiefly them that walk after the flesh in the lust of uncleanness, and despise government. Presumptuous are they, self-willed. They're not afraid to speak evil dignities, whereas angels, which are greater in power and might, bring not railing accusations against them before the Lord. But these are natural brute beasts, made to be taken and destroyed. Speak evil of the things that they understand not, and shall utterly perish in their own corruption, and shall receive the reward of unrighteousness. And they that count it pleasure to riot in the day time, spots they are, and blemishes, sporting themselves with their own deceivings while they feast with you, having eyes full of adultery, and that cannot cease from sin, beguiling unsatiable souls, and heart they have exercised with covetous practices, cursed children, which have forsaken the right way, and are gone astray, following the way of Balaam, the son of Besor, who loved the wages of unrighteousness, but was rebuked for his iniquity. The dumb ass, speaking with man's voice, forbade the madness of the prophet. These are wells without water, clouds that are carried with a tempest, to whom the mist of darkness is reserved forever. For when they speak great swelling words of vanity, they allure through the lusts of the flesh, through much wantonness. Those that were clean escaped from them who live in error. While they promised them liberty, they themselves, the servants of corruption, for of whom a man is overcome, of the same he is brought into bondage. For if after they have escaped the pollutions of the world through the knowledge of the Lord and Savior Hamashiach Yahushai, they are again entangled therein and overcome, the latter end is worse with them than the beginning. And that's what's happening is the people that dug, and I want you to understand, like, this is very involved, and this is very important for all of you who are watching and you are ministering, whether it's with Fire of God or whether you're doing it independently. We're going to be rewarded for how we multiply the talents that the Most High gave us. And what we want to do is parallel this with the idea of agriculture. Some are going to bring in tenfold, some 50-fold, some 100-fold, right? This is about sowing and reaping. And what you want to understand is that it's your best interest to dig to the proper depth before you to plant the seeds, right? You don't want to plant seeds topically like grass. You know what I'm saying? What you're trying to do is create trees of righteousness. The planting of the Lord is what the Most High is going to call us. And yes, we'll be transplanted one day in our land when we are moved in the salvation. But we want to bring forth our fruit in our season, right? In order for you who are sowing to create trees that are going to bring forth fruit in their season, you want to make sure that you are digging to the proper depth, right? Let me see. I'm gonna share something with y'all real quick. Let's go here. Let's go to the book of Matthew. Matthew 13. We're going to start at verse 1. That same day, Hamashiach went out of the house and sat beside the sea. And great crowds gathered about him, so that he got into the boat and sat down. And the whole crowd stood on the beach, and he told them many things in parables, saying, a sower went out to sow. And as he sowed, some seeds fell among the path, and the birds came and devoured them. So seeds falling on the path, they have no soil covering them. They're just bird seed, right? That's people just throwing out the propaganda, right? That's going to happen. You wanna propagate as much as you can. But let's talk about managing time and energy. Let's talk about maximizing one's effort. Let's talk about the fact that our resources are finite, in terms of time. We're not outside of time, right? So we want to maximize our ministry. We want to make sure that when we're managing our time, we're always optimizing the use of what we have. That may be our words. So we're talking about energy conservation. We're talking about our attention. That's energy conservation. You know what I'm saying? We want to be careful to know that we shouldn't be spending all of our time and resources casting seed into the wind, right? Because when those seeds fall along the path and birds come, they will devour that seed, right? Other seeds fell on rocky ground where they did not have much soil, and immediately they sprang up since they had no depth of soil. But when the sun rose, they were scorched. And since they had no root, they withered away. Why? Because even though they sprouted, because that's just what happens, they're able to get that residual moisture that's on the surface. They don't have depth. So they're not tapping into the richness of the soil where most of the moisture retention takes place, where their roots are protected and safe. Right? So once the water's going on the surface, there's no more water. That's expressly superficial. Birds didn't come and take it. It may have sprouted into an idea that, I'm a chosen person of God, but then that's where it ends. And when that's where it ends, well, being a true son of God takes no precedent. So you're not rooting yourself in the law, statutes, and commandments. You're not rooting yourself in the Torah, the instructions. Right? The word that flows. Right? It says, but when the sun rose up, they were scorched, and since they had no root, they withered away. Other seeds fell among thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked them. Other seeds fell on good soil and produced grain, some 100-fold, some 60-fold, some 30. And if the Most High wants you to multiply your talents, and we're paralleling these parables, this is the ideal, right? You have to produce. If you do not produce, then your ministry has failed, right? That's the mentality that you want to have. You want to give your honest effort to this. You don't want to just throw your seed and say, I got mine in for the day. That's not love. That's not caring. That's carelessness. It's recklessness. And it's a waste of time, because what that produces is seeds that are sown among thorns. What that produces is seeds that fall on rocky ground. What that produces is seeds that are devoured by the birds. It says, he who has ears, let him hear. The disciples came and said to him, why do you speak to them in parables? And he answered, to you it has been given to know the secrets of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it has not been given. For to the one who has, more will be given, and he will have abundance. But from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. This is why I speak to them in parables. And this is the same thing he said about the talents. Whoever doesn't multiply their talents, those talents will be taken away from the one that does not multiply, that does not invest. And it'll be given to those that have produced. It says, this is why I speak to them in parables, because seeing they do not see, and hearing they do not hear, nor do they understand. Indeed, in their case, the prophecy of Isaiah is fulfilled that says, you will indeed hear, but never understand, and you will indeed see, but never perceive. For this people's heart has grown dull, and with their ears they can barely hear, and with their eyes they have closed, lest they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their heart, and turn, and I would heal them. Right? So let's just go down a little bit so he can explain this parable. So you see, I'm not just making it up. It says, when anyone hears the word of the kingdom and does not understand it, the evil one comes and snatches it away, what has been sown in his heart. This is what was sown along the path. So again, you've thrown those seeds. Your heart is your mind in this particular sense. So it's like the information lands, but it doesn't penetrate. It's just a quick flash, and it has to compete with these other flashes. Think about this very commercial society that we live in, where there's promotion all around you. There are ideas all around you. The Most High has set the world in their hearts so that they cannot, see the end thereof. I'm drastically paraphrasing that from the book of Ecclesiastes, but the average man does not receive the spiritual thing because he's so wrapped up in the carnal. There's so many things for the word of God to compete with. This is why you want to dig, right? Because if you just throw those seeds, those words are going to land. He's going to hear them, but then he's going to go walk, and then he's going to see a poster saying that the new Jordans is out. And then he's going to go get in the line. And then while he's waiting in that line to get the Jordans, he's going to be hungry. He's going to be thinking about getting some food. Should I get out the line? Should I get the food? He's going to meet a girl in that line. He's going to get her phone number. Maybe it's time to go get the food together. He's done thinking about what you just told him about 12 tribes of Israel. You know what I'm saying? Especially if he's just talking to you online or something like that. You see how deep it gets? That's not to say do not try. It's to say, do not take for granted these opportunities to really dig and sow deeply. And you're not going to be able to control these outcomes. But what you can control is how serious you take this ministry. You see, once you start to think like this, it's no longer about you. It's about the work of the Most High needing to be done. That the soil must be penetrated. That these seeds must be sown and not just thrown into the wind. You see that? This is what was sown along the path. For what was sown on rocky ground, this is the one who hears the word and immediately receives it with joy. Because remember, when it lands on that rocky ground, it starts to sprout. It starts to soak up the moisture. It maybe lands in between the gravel. The gravel is porous, so there's a little bit of water within it. So the roots are able to lick that up and grow as far as they can. But then once that's soaked up, there's no more to give, and it doesn't go any further. It's superficial. I'm a child of God. I'm a chosen one. God loves me above all people. And then what? If there's no more to it than that, then you're not going to be able to see the evidence of everything that is way more true, that actually lends to the truth that you're the chosen one. So you're able to see it in everything in life. Because guess what? You're going to move through life. It's going to keep being as difficult as it was before you heard that. Those encouraging words are going to go right out the window that you heard when somebody read Deuteronomy 28 and 1 to you and read Deuteronomy 68. And then pointed to the 12 tribes chart and said, see, it's going to dissipate quickly. It says they're going to receive it with joy, yet he has no root in himself, but endures for a while. And when tribulation and persecution arises, On account of the word, immediately he falls away. He done got into IUIC. He done got into whatever ABC camp. He didn't put his fringes on. They didn't say, I'm going to participate in the religion of the people that told me I was a child of God. I'm not going to actually do what a child of God is to do, because that is not the religion of the people who told me about the fact that I'm a child of God, because that is all superficial. It ain't about no Torah. It's about you can't wear pants, sis. It's not about Torah. It's about get away from that white woman, brother. You gotta wear your fringes, brother. Christmas is wicked, brother. That's it. It's all about the negatives. It's not about the positives, what thou art to do. It's about you don't fit in with us right now. This is what you got to do to fit in with us right now. That's not very deep. It's superficial. So they're immediately going to fall away when those things fail them, not realizing there's more to it than what you do, adorning yourself after the flesh, adorning yourself with fringes and the appearance of the child of God. It says, and as for what was sown among the thorns, this is the one who hears the word, but the cares of the world and deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and it proves unfruitful. Oh my God. And so many of you have these ulterior motives. I couldn't make it in the rap scene. I couldn't make it as this. I couldn't make it as that. Maybe if I get into this unsaturated market amongst the Hebrew Israelites, I can establish myself as somebody here, become a pseudo somebody, profit off of this people. Or here's the big one. I'm going to get on you brothers. If I'm a Hebrew Israelite, I can have multiple wives. So I'm going to put on fringes and I'm going to build a nation with my loins. That's going to answer all my problems. The cares of the world. Or, I'm going to start a fringe business and that's all I care about. I'm going to start a t-shirt business and that's all I care about. I'm going to do this music. That's all I care about. And once I don't get that record deal, once I'm not the top teacher in Israel because I've picked fights with everybody on every debate stage, or once I'm not top tier here because I wasn't top tier in the world in my plan of dominating this community who needs to be preyed upon for finances, once that fails me, I'm up out of there. I'm offended. I care for riches, and it chokes every other aspect of the word. That's made manifest every day. I once did a test on Facebook. It was almost 7 years ago. I asked, if a man broke into your house and stole your food, I said, what would you do? Would you A, put him to death? B, call the police? C, I gave several options except for the right one. And this is the problem. There were several Israelites that picked A, that they'd kill the brother. You're not supposed to steal. He's getting put to death. Where is that in the Bible? You know what I'm saying? The conflicting issue is that we teach you got to come back to these laws, statutes, and commandments, and then we crash out on the Christians and we make fun of them. We get all lawless. Y'all do whatever you want to do. And it's like, at least they believe that the law is done away with. You idiots teach people to come back to the law, statutes, and commandments, and you have no idea which way to point for judgments. The Most High gave us judgments, but we don't know them because we don't practice what we preach. Why? Because when it was sold into us, it was sold on very shallow ground. We received it in a very shallow way. The appeal was just polygyny. The appeal was just, I'm tired of doing it this way, so I'm gonna find something else that I can do. I don't look good here, so I'm gonna look good here. I'm broke, and now I have an excuse to be broke. I don't want to aspire to be more, so I'm going to adhere to a religion that tells me that I'm already great because I'm God's chosen people, but I don't have to elevate because the white man got his foot on my neck. So all I need to aspire to doing is hating him as much as possible, because that's what's going to give me salvation from my enemies, and that's just going to look like me being able to lay with his women one day, and they're going to feed me grapes, and the white man's going to be my slave. And my fringes are going to be the longest, and I'm going to have a mixtape out, and me and Yahushua is going to get in the studio, and he's going to drop 10 verses, and I'm going to drop 10 verses, and we both going to be on the album cover, and every Passover we're going to perform. These stupid ass ideas that we have are very shallow. And I've been doing this for about 10 years now. And trust me, all these things are coming from a place of I've actually seen this. And I'm sure many of you have actually seen this. And the fact that you have seen it means it is all too real, all too prevalent, which is why at the end of the thing, there's going to be very few who look like this. As for that which was sown on good soil, this is the one who hears the word and understands it. He indeed bears fruit and yields. In one case, 100-fold, in another 60, and another 30. You see what I'm saying? We'll get back to the area of study, which again is 2 Peter. I appreciate y'all for suffering me. We're in 2 Peter 2 and 18. I'm just gonna continue from verse 18. It says, "For when they speak great swelling words of vanity, they allure through lusts of the flesh." Remember, polygyny, slavery for all the nations, sitting on a throne eating grapes. Sisters, you can get your pedicure and your manicure all day because the Asian woman's going into slavery too. She gonna do your eyelashes and she ain't gonna be able to charge you. Somebody else is going to be able to take care of your babies, and your man's going to be rich, and that's why you'll accept polygyny in the kingdom, because he's going to be rich. Then it won't matter, because you've not been taught self-esteem. You've not been taught sharing. You've been taught coping through materials, which is just escapism. Competing stimuli. Same thing for you brothers. More wives is not salvation. More wives is more responsibility. But because you have been taught escape through indulgences, that's what appeals to you, because you're looking for escapisms. This community is a means to escape. And so what happens is, when you have a community full of people who are detached from reality, because that's what escapism is, just look it up, is detachment from reality through other stimuli that feel good, to compete with this overstimulation of the world that feels negative, where you can pretend to be all that you say that you are. A community full of that people, let's just put it like it is, that's narcissism being perpetuated at a high degree, which takes place in various religious landscapes. There's going to be an explosion, because that which is hidden is not going to remain hid. The enemy of my enemy is not my friend, he's just my enemy's enemy. You see what I'm saying? Once those bonds pop, it's going to be one loud explosion. Not one pop, but a million of them. You see? And so they allure you through the lusts of the flesh, through much wantonness. And those that were clean escape from them. Escape from them who live in error. While they promise them liberty, they themselves are servants of corruption. For of whom a man is overcome, of the same he is brought into bondage. For if after they have escaped the pollutions of the world through the knowledge of the Lord and Savior Hamashiach, they are again entangled therein, because once they wither, once they are devoured of birds, there's nothing left to do but be digested and defecated, expelled through the bowels over a field in another land. And that's how you get your blackberries, right? Your blackberry brambles. Yes, they populate and propagate of their own, but a lot of blackberry fields start with a bird taking a blackberry from one place, flying and then pooping and dropping it in a random field. And now that seed is propagated in the natural cycle of things, and you become a part of the world. That seed becomes a part of the world. You just scattered again. You see that? Further from where you were scattered the first time. And then you're just again entangled. You become a part of a new blackberry bramble. And you're overcome. And the latter end is worse with them than at the beginning, because you were destined for death. But this time you're destined to death for sure. But there's no more sacrifice for sins if you sin willfully. You see that? For it had been better for them not to have known the way of righteousness than, after they have known it, to turn from the holy commandment delivered unto them. But it has happened unto them according to the true proverb: the dog is turned to his own vomit again, and the sow that was washed to her wallowing in the mire. And with that, we're going to yield from the teaching, and next week, Lord willing, we're going to continue back in 2 Peter, picking up in chapter 3. Today we had to go deeper. We had to go deeper. There's a lot on the horizon. My sleep is troubled, and my soul is troubled, and my bowels are troubled right along with it. Physically, it's physically impacting me. And my fear for y'all is that you are entangled in the cares of this world. That's my fear for y'all. And so, it's only right that we went over what we went over today. I pray that you were edified through it. I appreciate y'all for tapping in. I'm putting a link in the chat. The Bakar store is back online. It's been made aware. I've been made aware that brothers need tassels and all of that. So we do have those available, but please understand, your ministry is not tassels. That is a part of your dedication to the Most High. Yes, each and every one of us. But once you have those on, please understand that you actually have to walk with them. You see what I'm saying? You put them on and you wear them as you do the rest of the will of the Most High. Do not be the seed who is planted on shallow soil. Dig deeper. I want you brothers in the book of Matthew. I want you brothers in the book of Hebrews. Those two top tier, the book of Hebrews and the book of Matthew. Until further notice, those of you who are at Fire of God Ministries, again, the book of Matthew, the book of Hebrews. If you could get it in the Syriac as far as the book of Matthew, that would be what you want to do. I'm actually going to put a link of where you could find that in the chat. I'm going to do that now. I guess if there's any questions, feel free to run your questions. If not, I'm going to get up out of here. Get ready to pick up the rib. Here goes the link. You could get the joint on Amazon. Very interesting. Something going on with the chat. That's real weird. Let me do this. Forgive me, y'all. In the meantime, do we have any questions? Don't everybody ask at once. Also, I know I've been asked about when the F.O.G. peer review of Genesis's Gentile salvation doctrine. I've been asked that's gonna come, but it's gonna come when it comes. I may review point for point over time. We might just, instead of doing a peer review, give our own layout of the F.O.G. view on Gentile salvation, or the version of salvation that is for the Gentiles. Because there is a version of salvation for the Gentiles. Shout out to the powerful Captain Azariah for, slapping me in the back of the head about that. And to be honest, I'll say this: the brother saved my life by smacking me in the back of the head about it. Because we talk about being choked by the cares of the world. We talk about the superficial aspect of it, the aspect of it that's me. I cannot stand the Gentiles. I'm coming from a background where I could not stand the Gentiles. And I was so fixed in that as perceptive as some of you think that I am, one thing that I could not see past is that anger. And this is why I say the hate for the Gentiles is never going to measure up to the love of the Most High. They're never going to equate. In fact, you will never be able to love the Most High the way that you are supposed to, unless you can really wipe the hate out of your eyes. You have to start over. The reason that these curses, we're able to see them so clearly, is because we are coming from a background of hurt, but hurt turns into hate. And so when you are nurtured, your hate is nurtured. When your grudge is nurtured, it just becomes a bigger grudge. It does not become righteousness. There is a righteous indignation. The Most High has that. And like the captain said, it causes us to lose perspective. Blinded you are. In my Yoda voice. Much fear I see in you. I don't see no questions. So, with that, I appreciate y'all. It was a small class, but sometimes the smaller the classroom, the bigger it is to me. I appreciate y'all. That being said, all praises to the Most High. In the name of His Son, Shalom.